Hello students, welcome to Minds Academy. This is Dr. Arvind. See, in this video session, I'll just try to provide you a thinking line of how to approach an ethics question. This is especially with respect to the students of 1, 2, 3 module. For the chapter 11, I'm providing you a thinking line rather than a model answer. You cannot call it as a model answer, but basically a thinking line. Why? Because in ethics, you don't have any fixed answer for any question. You can justify your stand by taking numerous number of examples or by quoting any thinker. So just take it as a guidance or a basic direction to how to handle or approach an ethical question or ethics question. Now coming to this first question, I have given this question: are ethics and morals one and the same? Then how you should approach this question and what you have to write in this question. First of all, you all know that ethics and morals are not one and the same. So just try to make a distinction between these two by making a small table and writing it in 3 to 4 points. First, define ethics. Whatever the simple definition that you remember, you write it here. Even for the morals, you write it here. We all know that ethics is something which is external, or it is something which is imposed by the society. It is externalized, whereas morals are mostly based on one's own personal conscience. It is internalized. When you do something against ethics, it is unethical, means that you have to face shaming by the society, whereas immoral acts attract guilt. You own personal internally you feel guilt. Why? Because it is your own personal conscience that you have acted or done something immoral. So this should be your basic introduction or starting point of this answer. After that, you try to write the conflict between these two, right? Where you try to write with examples where acts which are ethical but morally wrong, and you have to write the other way around, acts which are morally right but ethically wrong. Now look at this conflict. Please write this conflict through examples. It is only then it becomes a complete answer. For example, I have taken this example. One first thing is ethically right but morally wrong. A soldier, while performing his duty as a profession as a soldier during the war, whenever he kills an opponent or enemy, it is ethically right. But to to his individual conscience as a human being, a soldier may not like a killing fellow human being. For to his moral conscience, it may be ethical or it may be morally wrong. So this is one example. Secondly, aborting of fetus. For a doctor as a profession, in order to save a woman, it may be ethically correct for the society. But to his individual conscience, killing a fetus may go against this doctor's individual conscience. It may be morally wrong for him. Similarly, acts which are morally right but ethically wrong. See, in certain tribal societies, marriages are done through capture or elopement or raid, whereby the men usually raid a village and capture a woman. To these tribal societies, it is morally right because it is their cultural tradition. It is based on that group's conscience. But when you look at as a society from the societal conscience, it is ethically wrong by because women are equal partners of men, or they are equal citizens of the society. So in this way, you have to articulate your answer. See, this is just a thinking line. You can argue with me that this is not good. Yet I have a better approach or a better way of writing. It is most welcome. I'm not saying it as a standard answer. It is not a standard answer, just a guidance or a thinking line of approaching this question. Now, coming to this second question, I have given this question: what is animal ethics? In the conflict between animal rights and culture, where do animals stand? This is the question I have given to you. In this question, you first have to define this animal ethics. I have given here a basic definition. It is a branch of ethics that examines human animal relationships and the moral consideration of animals and how these non human animals ought to be treated. So, with this, I have completed the first part. You don't require to write any new introduction here. Why? Because the definition itself become an introduction. Now coming to the second part. See, in this second part, I have to justify this with a law and two Supreme Court judgments. I have taken the help of this in order to justify my stand. So according to the Prevention of Cruelty Towards Animals Act, it prohibits all forms of cruelty towards animals. Is the first stand. Next, secondly, Uttarakhand High Court has given a judgment stating that Animal Kingdom has been given a status of legal entity. That is, animals also have rights. This judgment was passed by Uttarakhand High Court especially to prevent the horse cartage or horse carts used in Indo-Nepal border. So, Uttarakhand High Court itself has stated that Animal Kingdom is a legal entity and they have rights. Now, coming to this major judgment and my stand on or on my arguments, which I say that yes, animals have rights and those rights need to be respected. For this, I have taken the Supreme Court judgment in Animal Welfare Board versus Nagarajan case. So, what is the stand taken by the Supreme Court? As long as there is no conflict between culture and law, culture will prevail. If there is any conflict between culture and law, law will prevail. Why? Because we live in a society of rule of law, not rule of culture. Similarly, Prevention of Corruption Act is a welfare act and welfare of animals is the prime importance. Yes, animals have rights. Acts done for human necessity, like killing or chicken eating, does not come under violation of rights of animals. Further, Supreme Court also stated that in human-animal relationships, animals are equal partners but not subordinates. So these are the basic arguments on which I state that animals have equal rights. So, in ethics, it is not important to quote this judgment, but the basic arguments on which you make your stand is very important. So, I have taken not only the stand but also the references like Uttarakhand High Court judgment or Supreme Court judgment in Animal Welfare Board versus Nagarajan case. Now, in the conclusion, I'll state that issues of animal culture conflict can be solved by referring to fundamental duties of the Indian Constitution, which states that Indian citizens should have compassion towards fellow living creatures. Further, Isha Upanishad also states that there is no right for any living creature to exert dominance over other. So, by quoting these two as conclusion, I will conclude my answer. So, take this as a thinking line or as a way of presenting an answer and you try to improve this. So this is one of the way of presenting the answer. Now coming to the question on integrity, see whenever any question in terms of a terminology is given, please follow this format. It makes your answer look more complete and more comprehensive. Like for suppose whenever something is asked like integrity or wisdom or creativity or any other virtue of a civil servant is given, for example openness, so try to follow this format. Now whenever a question on integrity is given, try to quote any quote relevant to integrity. For example, a man of integrity is not only uncorrupt but uncorruptible. That is, even under external influence he will not become corrupt. So under a subheading of quote, try to write that. Now under description, try to further expand the meaning of this term. Now see, I have described this as consistency of thought, speech and action while adhering to highest moral standards in all situations. For this, an individual requires inner sense of wholesomeness and consistency of thought. So integrity is nothing but being the same authentic person or displaying the same righteous conduct across all times and across all situations. So with this, I have completed the basic description of this term. Now, in any of this description, I have not used anything related to the textbooks that are available for ethics. So please try to recognize that point. Whatever the textbooks that are available, I just simply quoting an example, a quote as a basic understanding of this terminology and quoting the examples. Now coming to this examples, try to divide your examples under these three subheadings, like personal examples. For example, following the traffic rule or stopping at a red light even when there is no policeman, or rectifying my own restaurant bill which has not included one of the dishes in the bill. So you go to the hotel owner and you ask him that they missed a one particular dish to include in this bill, and you tell him to include that and you pay all the money. So at personal level, you are displaying integrity. Now look at professional level. You can quote the example of Ashok Kahemka or any other IAS officer who tried to be the most authentic person even after more than 50 transfers in a short span of career. So that is professional integrity. Now coming to personality integrity, try to quote any personality. For example, Mahatma Gandhi preaches non-violence. So he suspended non-cooperation movement because of Chauri Chaura incident where the people displayed violence. So he is not only preaching but also following. It is nothing but walk the talk. It is nothing but integrity. So this is professional. So you can quote your own examples, whichever you like, just as a guidance or as a model or as an indication. I have quoted these examples. So this is a way of approaching an answer. Thank you.